Hello, my name is James Hewes. I'm the President and CEO of FIPP, and I was asked to provide some answers to some of the questions that you submitted about the future of B2B media. So here we go. First of all, how do you foresee the evolution of our business after the pandemic? What are the main challenges for B2B publishers? Well, I think the B2B industry has undergone a massive evolution before the pandemic. Many in the B2B industry have stopped being publishers and now focus on providing market data, custom information, conferences and consulting services. The conference element, I guess, will have been affected by the pandemic, and I think a key challenge for B2B in the post-pandemic, post-COVID world will be to judge how quickly people are prepared to return to in-person events. For B2B publishers that were strong in print before the pandemic, I guess they will have faced huge challenges in getting their magazines in front of readers, and some will have switched to home delivery instead of office delivery, and some will have switched to digital editions instead of print editions. And I think, again, for B2B and print, it's about judging the return to the office and the speed of the return to the office and deciding whether you want to refocus your distribution there or carry on delivering your titles to readers' homes. More broadly, though, I think the story of the pandemic has been the rapid acceleration of trends that were already there. So in the case of B2B print publishers, that means an ever greater move away from print towards digital and other new formats. And the challenge there, I think, will be to successfully navigate this migration. Although I should say that I don't think this means that B2B print products are necessarily dead. If you look at other markets across the world, there are some examples of print B2B products that are thriving. I'm thinking about a title like Variety in America, published by Penske Media and focused on the entertainment space. They have managed to successfully transform that print brand into a very multi-platform brand, but one that has a very strong print presence still. And that leads on quite nicely to the next question. How strong will B2B media be after the pandemic? Will advertising on paper continue? And what about paper subscriptions? Well, I should say that B2B print media is affected by the same trends that we're seeing across the entire print market. The volume is down, and I think the volume will continue to go down. I don't think you should forecast a future where volumes in print go up. We're waiting to see what the stabilization level of that volume is in the future. But there is some good news. I think the good news is that print is being reinvented as a quality medium. So we're moving from the days of it being a mass market medium to being a lower volume but higher quality medium. And if you as a B2B publisher can focus on producing a high quality print product with good production values and high pagination, then you should be able to continue with a robust print business. Advertising, which is one of the key revenue drivers for many B2B publishers and print, advertising on paper will continue, but it's only going to continue for publications that are getting high quality audiences and for B2B that are able to prove that they have a high quality audience reading them. So getting accurate data on readers is really, really essential, as it is now across the whole of a publishing business. We very firmly believe that subscriptions are the way forward for print in both B2B and B2C. You're able to gather a lot more data on a subscriber than a casual reader, and data is key. Data is key to success in the future. I think it's worth clearly stating the obvious, though. You cannot survive as a B2B publisher if you only operate in print. You must have a robust digital presence as well. So then that leads on nicely to the third question: how to become digital first when most of the income still comes from paper? Well, I think if you're still operating in a market where most of the income comes from paper, then congratulations, because that's not the case for many brands across the world. In most of the markets we work in, that transition happened a long time ago. And I think the key here is to recognize two things. Firstly, print is not going to last forever in its current form. It will be a much smaller part of your business than it is now. And secondly, you must be prepared to sacrifice some of your current profit to invest in the digital future, because if you don't invest, you won't survive. Now, building a digital business doesn't need to be expensive either. You don't have to solve all of your problems in one go. I would recommend two initial steps. The first one is to look at your editorial offering, your content, and decide whether it's something that people would be prepared to pay for. And if it's not, you've got to make sure that it is. So that needs to be a big focus of your investment, increasing the quality of your content if you feel it's not something that people would be prepared to pay for. And secondly, I would say in the early stages of your digital business, just focus on collecting data. Make sure you have a good analytics package on your website. Ask readers to register before reading stories. Registration can be free, but it can be the way in which they trade their data for access, and provide lots of opportunities for them to give you data. So run surveys, run competitions, run virtual events, whatever it might be, and gather all the data that you can about your readers. This will pay off in the long run, and it'll pay off in two ways. Firstly, it'll pay off because you're able to prove to your advertisers that you have a high quality audience that you understand. Therefore, they are more likely to invest with you. And secondly, and the ultimate goal of your digital business is, of course, to be able to charge people to read your content. And I think this applies even more for B2B businesses than it does for B2C businesses. Ideally, for a B2B business, this will take the form of a corporate subscription, which attracts a much higher price than individual subscriptions, but that doesn't mean you can't also attract individual subscribers to your brand. And you should be aiming to build that digital subscription, that paid content revenue stream, as one of the fundamentals of your business going forward. It's not easy. I'm not going to pretend it's easy, but it is essential. Building lots of different revenue streams is the key to not only survival, but growth. The last two crises that we've been through in the last 13 years, the financial crisis and COVID, have taught us one crucial thing, which is that reliance on only one or two ways of making money is not a viable long-term path to survival. You must have 4 or 5 different ways in which you can make money. And I think if you're a B2B business, you're well placed to do that. There's plenty of examples of B2B businesses around the world that have managed to diversify into data and information services, to events, to consulting services, to educational services, whatever it might be, that you can start to broaden the base of revenue that you operate from. And then the final question I was asked to address was, how should our back office systems and tools evolve to adapt to the digital changes? Well, I think there's two fundamental principles here. The first one is you have to decide whether you're going to buy in the software and the tools that you need to make these changes, this transformation, or whether you're going to build it yourself. If you're going to build it yourself, you have to be aware that that's expensive and time consuming. The advantage is that you get to specify what that system does and what it looks like. The disadvantage is that you may run out of money in trying to produce it. So this is probably only an option for the larger companies. For smaller companies, those software as a service solutions that are proliferating, that are everywhere in our industry right now, are a very, very good option. And I think this comes on to the second point. The second point is when you've decided whether you're buying or building, you have to then take a very agile and flexible approach to technology. Gone are the days where your chief IT officer would sign a deal with Microsoft and that would be it. You'd be tied to Microsoft for the next 20 years. You can't do that in the modern digital publishing space. You've got to look at the entirety of your technology architecture, of your technology infrastructure, work out what the most appropriate solutions are for each of those elements, and then sign a deal with the SaaS, the software as a solution company that enables you to deliver that, work out how you're going to implement it, and then try it and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, be prepared to throw it out the window and move on and do something else. Don't end up tied to technology that's not going to do what you need. I think one of the crucial things here as well, one of the learnings that we found, is that the product development people in your company, the people who are developing new ways for your readers and your consumers to access your content and your services, now become really, really crucial. And they have to be people who have a good understanding of technology and who can work with technology teams to find and identify the best technology solutions for your business. The really good news in this space, though, is that there are now an enormous number of different solutions available for all the different aspects of the publishing technology workflow and production chain. And many of them are excellent. You can go out there now and find off-the-shelf solutions for e-commerce, for paid content, for virtual events, for data and analytics, whatever it might, for customer service, whatever it might be. And there will almost certainly be a solution for you. that is priced appropriately, because they recognize, these software as a service companies recognize that not all of their companies are big enterprises. They price as well for small and medium-sized companies. They're very focused on trying to make sure that you can implement these solutions easily, and there's a constantly evolving roadmap of new things coming down the track in terms of the development of those software solutions. So there's never been a better time to really embrace new technology for your business, but you have to have the right setup internally that allows you to do that. You cannot have a rigid, fixed, old-fashioned way of approaching technology. You've got to play a little bit fast and loose with it. I hope that's been useful for you. Please, if you do have any questions, if you want to learn more about the technologies that might be able to help your business, if you want to learn more about the way that we think about the evolution of publishing in not only B2B and B2C as well, then please do contact me. My name is James Hewes, and you can reach me at james@fipp.com, FIPP.com, and you can visit our website at www.fipp.com. I hope that was useful. Thanks for listening.